Woo! You have found the most definitive program and all things Star Wars The Old Republic related. And when you get on this program, baby, you better ride Space Mountain all night long. Because whether you like us or you hate us, learn to love it because we're the best thing going today. Woo! That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is another episode of the Cult of Crasus from the You versus Me YouTube channel, coming at you with a brand new video. A video about one of my favorite places in Star Wars The Old Republic, the Siege of Kaon. I basically went through and I soloed it. And while you watch me solo, probably my favorite flashpoint in the game, definitely by far my favorite of the original flashpoints that came out at launch, I'm going to go over a few subjects that are near and dear to my heart about changes that could be made to the game to make it more interesting, to make people come back to play, to make flashpoints more usable. Also, of course, I was always a big fan of making money. I'm going to share with you a few money making tips, not very many, because I did have a theory about soloing Kaon that unfortunately did not work out as well as I anticipated. However, we're going to go ahead and go through the ins and outs of it. So let's go ahead and get into it here. As you see, I am entering Kaon, basically just going through. At the first part of it, of course, it's long. You're just fighting one enemy here, one enemy there. As far as soloing goes, that's not very conducive in order to making a lot of money. But let me go ahead and go over some of the things about Kaon. It is near and dear to my heart. It was one of my favorites, probably my favorite of the original, probably still my favorite now. It's a very well constructed flashpoint. In history, there have been a few bugs to it. I know there were certain places where if you ran into it, you pretty much just, were instantly killed. The backstory is kind of interesting. I mean, you're basically, coming here to really investigate a downed ship that has some special cargo on it. It basically is the first step in discovering and introducing rat ghouls to Star Wars The Old Republic. When you were level 50, you had an option to do this on story mode and hard mode. It was very difficult as far as when you just hit 50, in my opinion. Obviously there's going to be some people who would disagree, but for the gear that you had, the experience that you had, it was very, very difficult, especially the bonus boss. It had an interesting motif. It's very eerie, kind of dark and scary. It was kind of your first little venture into horror in Star Wars The Old Republic. Maybe your only real venture, depending on how you consider Lost Island and some of the rat ghoul events that are currently ongoing. This flashpoint initially, if you did it on hard mode, gave Kalumi gear. And basically what would happen is it gave just random purples until you got to the last boss. The last boss gave you a Kalumi set piece that it wasn't just a free token. It actually would say Kalumi Inquisitor piece or Kalumi Bounty Hunter piece. And so, all depending on the makeup of your group, that would pretty much determine who would get it. I know a lot of people complained about this because for a while you could actually go in with like all bounty hunters, a power tech tank, a merc power tech DPS, and obviously a merc healer. And sometimes at the very beginning, especially, it would give you like an Inquisitor headpiece, which would do no one any good at all. Well, I mean, you could go in and take the enhancement out, I guess that's some good, but for the most part really no good at all. Also, it was during this time that if you did story mode operations, it also gave Kalumi pieces. So this was basically the first step in in-game progression for your character, personal progression as I like to call it. What you would do is you would be able to get together with some people and you would be able to run this. I liked it. You would have obviously dailies to do. At one time this had its own separate daily, and that would give at the time particular comms that would allow you to buy gear. Obviously things have changed My biggest complaint now is when you compare this to the current flashpoints is I don't know, I guess it kind of feels like home. Maybe it's just so near and dear to me that I think it's much better than the current batch of flashpoints and hard mode flashpoints. I know the hard mode flashpoints are very difficult, just like this was when it was that level. And so, I mean, you know, I think they're either as difficult, if not more so, than this was when you were level, you know, at the particular level and gear level that you needed to be at. However, this has a feeling of an epic encounter. It was never a tactical flashpoint, and I think that has a lot to do with it. I think that having tactical flashpoints take away from the feeling and your, I would hate to say it, in your immersion into a particular encounter. Now, my initial reason for actually doing this flashpoint is I go through theories, I guess, on how to make easy money. And you should have been able to catch my Red Reaper video, just kind of a cheap, easy way to make money. I'm always looking for new ways to make money because there's a lot of people, and I have no idea why, there are a lot of people who have difficulty garnering credits in Star Wars: The Old Republic, and you know, this is just kind of a cheap and easy way to do it by soloing old content. However, this did not turn out as fruitful as I had hoped for many reasons. But I'll go ahead and get into that a little bit later. I was talking about the rewards of this flashpoint when it was current, and it made me think about rewards in general and how we look at rewards in Star Wars: The Old Republic. It's the reason why we do stuff for the most part. Very few people actually do things just because they really like to do it. It's more like an equation of how much you like to do something and the reward that it gives you. So if you don't like to do something, but it gives you a great reward, you're going to do it anyway. That's why people do dailies over and over again to get money, because maybe they want to buy something, and that's how they go about doing it. No one actually does a lot of flashpoints anymore. On Shadowlands and the Ebon Hawk, if you use your group finder, you will stay in queue for quite some time. If you listen to my conversations piece that we did, I mentioned that. We talked about that a little bit. So I was thinking after the conversation piece, what could be done in order to get more people to do flashpoints. They have this content in the game. We don't want it to go to waste. And I think the number one reason is that we do something as rewards. And I think they really have to up the reward in flashpoint, especially hard mode flashpoints. You do a hard mode flashpoint now, and it basically gives you 192 garbage gear, which is okay, but no one really wants to do it. Why would you want to do this when the path of least resistance is just doing the operations? And so therefore no one does the flashpoints. Now I can understand some of what Bioware is thinking. They don't want you to gear up so quickly. However, you created content that no one's going to do because the reward is not good enough. So this actually offered, when it was at level, this offered an entry level set piece that actually had a set bonus to it. Flashpoints that you actually do today just give you, like I mentioned before, garbage 192 gear. Why can't you just copy a formula that worked? I mean, I know the argument can be made, hey, the reason why that you were able to go in and do these flashpoints before is there were a lot more players who were out there, and the subscription numbers, you can tell, have dipped. But this at least gives you something to do other than your guild's raid nights. And it gives you an opportunity to gear up, to go and venture further into your operations. A lot of people, at least opportunists like myself, I would do the operation and this in order to try to get the best gear that I possibly could, because ultimately I want to go do the hard modes, and a lot of people did it. I don't know the exact number of stats, but I would theorize that when you were level 50 and you were doing in-game content, that a higher percentage of players were actually attempting hard modes compared to now. Now there are just a few guilds on each server that are actually doing the hard modes. People drop off because of various reasons. I think that one of them is because they can't get the gear that they need to do. Many people actually progress faster, and they have nothing to actually kind of close that gap. So basically what I'm saying is, let's say if you miss a couple raids with your guild wants to go in hard mode, they pick up a different person and leave you by the wayside because you can't play catch up by getting similar gear through flashpoints. And I mean, there you go. There aren't enough operations to keep everybody happy, in my opinion. There's only 2. Okay, so why not do something to keep people playing the game? Like I said, it will actually help you bridge the gap. I think it'll get more people in entry-level operations. I think it'll get more people wanting to do hard mode. I could be wrong, but that's just my guess in the whole situation. While we're on the subject of rewards, and this is going to be off topic from Kaon right now, as probably in the video you see him getting ready to horribly get on the gun. And by the way, I am absolutely terrible at that. In my day when I actually was doing this for current content, I found interesting ways to stay out of combat and stay out of the way in order to let experienced people use the gun, and then I would just kind of kill the mercenaries and kill the screamers that happen to pop up. So on the subject of rewards, there are many facets of this game, and they're not utilized because of a lack of reward, in my opinion. Like for instance, let's take for example the rail shooter, the space game. Okay, when you first started playing this game, the space game, especially at early levels, gave a fairly significant amount of experience each time you went through. So when you first got your ship and you were actually going through about level 18 or so, you would basically be able to do these solo missions, and then once you do them, so you would have you could do them once a day for a good amount of experience, and once you did them for the first time, it would often unlock a combo special mission, so you then could do that again, and then possibly another one, and that would be like a daily to give you even more experience. Now, that was a very interesting way to augment levels. I did it quite a bit in order to level up faster. The problem was a lot of people found that they could use bots and just do the space missions. And obviously Bioware would try to catch people. Early on they were terrible at it, absolutely atrocious. So in my opinion, and no one ever came out to say this, but they nerfed the experience for the space game. Okay, I believe that because they did it on 3 different occasions, I believe that they nerfed the experience on the space game in order to deter people from using bots in order to level up. However, what that did is it made people get away from the space game. There is no longer a good enough reward to do it. So the beauty of being able to level up how you want by, let's say if you didn't like to do a lot of side missions, you could go do the space game, was now taken away from you. And therefore, one of the great points of Star Wars The Old Republic in leveling the way you want, not necessarily just having to do PvE and go through those missions, was taken away from you. And that was the beauty of it. That was one of the initial kind of highlights of the game. So now let's go ahead and fast forward. And by the way, I mean they tried, because they did do kind of a dust up of the space game where they put different rewards in, especially when you got a new rank of space gear for your ship, and in completing it you got things like molecular stabilizers and things like that. Still, it didn't really matter. No one still wanted to do it. It was too boring, and the reward was not great enough to get people to do it. You could get the reward, which at the time I believe was molecular stabilizers, by doing other things more efficiently. Fast forward to today. Let's talk about how rewards are affecting the game today. Now, we have the Galactic Starfighter, which is something I kind of enjoy, and I kind of wanted to get back into it. It's very complicated system in my opinion. Some people think it's very easy. Maybe I just haven't paid as much attention to it as I should. So I was trying to get back into it. The queues never pop. You can be in queue forever. And when it initially came out, of course, it was 12 versus 12, and now you're lucky to get 7 on 7. So why? Why do people not do Galactic Starfighter? Well, one thing is, you actually spend a lot of time in the battle zone doing the missions, and when you get out, your monetary reward is not very good. So basically, for this, which is a PvP version of the game, basically your reward is you get to continue to do GSF. I mean, that's it. And so that's all you ever got. The problem is it's not as popular as ground PvP, so a lot of people aren't doing it. They don't have any season rewards, kind of like they do with the current arenas and ranked PvP. So that's kind of a downfall. So how could one thing that I think that you could do is a per mission, per weekly, per daily. You actually up the amount of money that it gives, because the queue pops so slowly. No one's doing it. It's so hard to get a daily done or weekly done, not because you might be bad or you have bad teammates, just because it doesn't pop with any frequency that allows you opportunities to finish your daily or weekly. The other thing is find a way to equate something in the other fields, either PvP or PvE with it. So it could be a way to kind of augment your PvP, your ground PvP aspirations, or your PvE like operations aspirations. I'm not really sure. I haven't thought deeply into it nor talked to anyone about it. However, I mean, there has to be a better carrot on the stick. I mean, if you don't do something, no one's going to actually do it. PvP, the ground game, the ground PvP is the same way. It needs more money for its daily and weeklies. I mean, you do a weekly, you get like what does it give you? I mean, the weekly is like 15 matches or 15 matches or wins count as 2 or whatever. That's a lot of time. So you're putting a lot of time in it, and it gives you like what? Even if it gives you 20,000 credits, that's not enough compared to the time that you actually put into it. So once again, it's just perpetuating its own cycle. Once you get a character in max gear, the only reason you're doing it is to bully and pick on people, or for competition's sake. Now, there is a better carrot on the stick for this, for ranked PvP. But what about people who don't want to do ranked? What about people who want to continue to doing the 8v8 PvP objective field maps? Well, you're just doing it for the fun of it, which, that actually sustains the test of time better than Galactic Starfighter. But nevertheless, you still need some kind of reward. I mean, ultimately, the question is this. The pops for PvP are better than Galactic Starfighter, but not nearly as good as most want them. Bioware has came out and said that they have something that's better than cross-server, but they have yet to pay that off. Okay? So, much like Michael Jackson proposed the question, Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? And we never got an answer. Is Annie okay? Just like this. They came out. They said that they have something better than cross-server. And they still haven't told us what it is. Are they going to take that secret to the grave like Michael Jackson did with Annie? God, I hope not. Because the game is dying. They need to do something, and do something quick. Come out with an announcement to get us excited. Especially PvPers. And I'm not one. But get PvPers excited to play the game again. They have to have that in order to keep subscribers going. We love the game. There needs to be some additions to the game to make it more palatable. So, the next portion that I have a question about is the reward. We went over some of the rewards for the flashpoints. As I mentioned before, I think that when you do a flashpoint, it should give you 192 gear with set bonus off of the last boss. So the last boss will drop a 192 set bonus piece. But it won't drop, let's say, just a random one where anybody can use it. It'll drop, just like it did before. So it'll drop, a bounty hunter headpiece. So either a power tech or a mercenary could get it and then get the set piece that they needed, a 192 set piece. And I also think that they should not up the story mode or group finder mode versions of those rewards either, because when you get into group finder, obviously you're going to get an ultimate comm bonus for that. And when you get a when you actually kill each boss, you also get an ultimate comm bonus for that. So they should continue that. In addition, what they should do is they should have a weekly, just like they did before, where if you do 5 hard mode flashpoints as a weekly, you get 20 ultimate comms. Why not do that? One problem that we have, and it's a problem that Bioware is going to run into as they reduce the group finder operations requirement from 16 to 8, is there aren't a lot of tanks out there. So DPS will just lay around waiting for a queue to pop, and it's terrible. I mean, most of the time people get in trade chat or allies chat if you're on the Ebon Hawk server. That's right, the Ebon Hawk does this stroke of genius where everyone subscribes to this channel called Allies, and what happens is everyone has it, so if anyone needs to plug someone in, they just post it in Allies, so you can actually be off anywhere in the game doing whatever you want to, and then you can see that, so you're not chained to the fleet. It actually gets people out in the world, so you can be doing dailies or whatever while you're waiting for someone who needs like a DPS or something, also while you're in queue for the operations or what have you. So it is really, really neat. But how do we get tanks in these queues? Sometimes as a healer, and I've queued as a healer, you'll have a little bit of a wait. DPS will have a tremendous wait, and you may not get a pop at all. And the reality is everyone is waiting on tanks. And to be honest, I'm kind of at a loss. And if you're listening, I would love for you to put in the comments your ideas on how to get more tanks to queue in flashpoints and to queue in operations, and basically be in the game forever, because people level up as DPS now because they have tactical flashpoints as they're leveling up. They're tactical flashpoints when you get at max level. You don't need a tank for that, so no one wants to tank. And to be honest, if you go into tactical and you are a tank, you're probably not going to have a very fun time with it. So how do we get them? I mean, my ideas were quite simply is possibly make the mechanics easier for tanks, or at least more interesting. Okay, and there are various ways to do that. I mean, just make it possibly where your mitigation is a little bit easier. Possibly, I don't know, like a training wheel situation where you have a reticle that will appear that shows you the best place to actually place the boss, and eventually make that toggle if you can turn it on and turn it off. I mean, that would be some really sick training wheels and probably not be good for the long haul, but I mean, those are just some things that I kind of thought about. And so please, if you have any ideas on what should be done, let me know in the comments below, or of course I am on Twitter at Crasus the Heel at Twitter, and you can always hit me up there. Now, as you see, I'm still sneaking around Kaon here, out in the darkness with all these damn zombies, just butchering the hell out of them. And so let me go ahead and get back to Kaon here, and also the reason why I was soloing Kaon. Once again, a lot of people have difficulty making money. I've always made money on the GTN, buying and selling. And so what I tried to do here was actually go through and solo Kaon to see if it would be a better reward. As I was talking about before, rewards are very important. If it would be a better reward than actually trying to solo Red Reaper. And the money that you're picking up per each mob that you kill is not that much higher than Red Reaper. one of the issues that you're having is, as you see running through this hallway, there's a lot of times when you're running through a hallway and you're just running. There's no mobs to kill directly in front of you, or there's just one or two mobs to kill that are directly in front of you. And so that's going to increase, your time going without, killing a mob for money. That's going to slow down the profitability of running and soloing Kaon. Another problem that I had when I'm running Kaon is, as you see, when I first started, I actually had my healing companion because I wasn't quite sure if I needed the healing companion, how things would go when I got on the gun. And so that did initially add some time to the run. And as you see, I actually switched to a fairly well-geared Torian. Now you see I'm not actually trying to duck mobs for the most part, because that's counterintuitive to what you're trying to do. You want to pick up all the money from mobs that you possibly can. And I guess I could have done the bonus to add more money to it, but there is the equation of money and time. And so is this the most profitable situation with money and time? And so that's why I actually elected to skip certain things, just because tick tick tick, it was just taking way too long. Now, as you see from this point in the video, it's still not a very long time. I'm currently at probably, as you're watching this, around 26-27 minutes into this, and I really could have shaved some time off. When I was going through with the mercenaries, they shock you, they put you there. You saw one time I just had to kind of stand there, and I think it took 30 seconds. I wasn't prepared with my electro dart. I didn't really have a good tactic in going through because, you're soloing it anyway. So I could have probably shaved off some time there. I would say that in doing this a better way, you could probably shave off about 5 minutes from the time that I did. And of course, this is going to be an overall average. And so, going through killing, I don't think that if you actually go out of your way to kill any more things, or even doing the bonus, would be that much more profitable. You would probably get a purple item that you could probably sell to the vendor for 13,000. But it would take you a few minutes to do that. It would take you a few minutes to make sure that you click on all the turrets. And so that's going to take more time, and that's going to, make it a little less profitable overall. Another issue that this has is, once you do this, you don't really have a completion bonus. So when you did Red Reaper and you go back out and you talk to Darth Malgus, you get around 7,000 credits. It's really 6,000 and some change. And so that kind of adds to it as well. There's not really a real big bonus here to actually, give it to you. Or it's about the same. So, that's not really a good reason to do this. There's a couple other things that, I was thinking about that, the annoyance of the turret when you're on the gun, that takes up a lot of time, and so that actually cuts down on the actual amount of money that you're making per minute. The last boss that could possibly pin you down, that would be aggravating. I don't know if that's an automatic thing, or if you can resist it. So, that could actually add to more time. In this particular run, I didn't have to do that. So the guy that pins you down actually went for my companion, so I didn't have to worry too much about that. But if he does pin you down, that's going to add to more time. So overall, I made around 113,000 credits on this run. When I divided up the amount of time that it took, you were looking at around 3,700 credits per minute. When I did the Red Reaper, going at a 70,000 credit run, you're looking at making about 6,000 credits per minute that you're in there, because it literally, Red Reaper takes you like 12 minutes if you don't screw up and do something stupid like fall off and die. And so it seems that Red Reaper is going to be more profitable. I mean, almost double. And so the bang for your buck, and I just looked and I just saw it's 8,000 that you actually got for the completion. And so by the time I sell everything, like I said, I'm going to make about 113,000. So at this point, Red Reaper is the way to go for your easy money challenge. Once again, you know, the best ways to make money is to find niches in the market and do things on the GTN. And so make sure that you look for ways to make money like that. Now, I hope that you enjoyed the vid. I hope you enjoy all the videos that we have on You Versus Me. I'm very, very happy to be part of this group, finally partnering up with a channel that does something more than just me talking. I hope you find all those videos interesting. So if you have any questions, concerns, make sure that you leave a comment at the bottom. Please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and like us. And I will see you out there.